Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility,
leadership,
purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
diversity,
inclusion,
compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our Compassionate Team Green. You can apply online or call 302-409-3710.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Did you know he'll help you understand? Did you know always a right-hand man? Did you know he's gonna make it clear? Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Hello, welcome to the Did You Know Show. My name is Brian Green, your host today, and I am so excited. I am here today with the Alzheimer's Association, absolutely one of my favorite not-for-profits, bar none. They are easy people to work with, and it's an easy organization to support in these days and times. I'm here in Philadelphia at the Alzheimer's chapter, Philadelphia, and we are with Elaine Griffin, who's our manager of corporate and volunteer engagement, and also Frederica Wall, who is our associate director of diversity and inclusion. Ladies, welcome to the show.
We are so excited, Brian.
I'm excited to have you. When I was preparing for this show, I normally try to have my notes and that kind of thing, so I know what to ask, know what to stay away from, and that kind of thing. But with you guys, it's so easy. And then this is like homecoming because Frederica, a year and a half ago, you and my good friend and mentor, Beverly Johnson, you guys were my pilot episode. Right. And the pilot episode was Alzheimer's Association. And so we're back. You're
Yes.
back. And not a moment to spare. And there's so much going on in the Alzheimer's Association all year round. Right. And Elaine, why don't you just tell us first, because I can talk about Alzheimer's Association all day and night.
And we want you to. Okay, don't be shy about that. Okay?
Manager of corporate and volunteer engagement. What do you do?
Basically, it means, Brian, that what I want to do is I work with corporations to raise awareness, get them involved, engage them, and I also engage with volunteers.
Okay.
Volunteers, basically, it means I want your money, and I want your employees to volunteer. Volunteers are the lifeblood of our organization. I think we have about 3,200 volunteers.
Oh, wow.
For the Philly Walk alone, which is coming up,
Hey, Philly
November
Walk.
10th, I need 750.
Let me hold that for the camera.
Yeah, I need 750 volunteers because we have 11,000 people at it. But the idea, though, with Alzheimer's is that every 65 seconds, someone in America gets the disease.
Oh, wow.
Right now, we don't have a cure, we can't slow it down, and we don't know what causes it. So this is really a health crisis, and we need to engage everybody at every level. We want corporations, companies, we want everyone to know that maybe their employees, the reason they're calling out sick is they're taking care of a loved one who has Alzheimer's, in addition to their sick children. A lot of people are sandwiched in between. So the cost that Alzheimer's takes, and we want, as I said, we have so many resources at our Delaware Valley chapter that we want to share. Alzheimer's can go on from 4 to 20 years. So it's a long, long journey for a caregiver, not to mention the person who has it. And we just want people to know that we're here to help. I know Freddie's going to talk in depth about all the wonderful services that we have. But my job is to make sure that the business community, the volunteer community, everybody knows what we offer and how they can get involved and join us in our mission to defeat dementia.
Alzheimer's, as I said at the top of the show, Alzheimer's Association is one of those organizations that is very easy to deal with. And because of the relevance in a lot of people's lives, it's a topic that is no longer taboo. Years ago, when people were becoming, I guess, demented, you would say they had senility. Oh, right. Grandma's just senile. She's just getting old, that kind of thing. And more, it's become a situation as we kind of discover the symptoms, and really, hopefully, soon that we can get to a cure. But along that, Alzheimer's is a really difficult disease to contend with as a caregiver. Frederica Wall is our Associate Director of Diversity and Inclusion. Frederica, tell us what you do for the Alzheimer's Association.
Well, the Alzheimer's Association now is working for a lot of communities, a lot of different ethnicities and cultures. But they focus on a couple of cultures and ethnicities because the two or three have different situations going on. For instance, they're looking at the African American community because we're twice as likely to have Alzheimer's. So, and we're also diagnosed late. And that's on the family. They don't always step out and have the person diagnosed right away. We look at the Hispanic Latino community because they're 1.5 more times likely to have Alzheimer's than their white peers. We also look at the LGBTQ community because of their situation in finding resources and being comfortable in looking for and receiving resources. So that's those are the areas and the cultures and communities that the Alzheimer's Association focuses on. Doesn't mean that we leave other people out. We want to help and have resources for everyone. But we know that there are some groups, some communities where they're going to need a lot more assistance in getting the resources that they need.
And so I know some of the things that you are involved with is that you go out to different community groups and different civic organizations and you speak, because you and I,
Yes.
over the years, so to my listening audience and to my viewing audience, let me just tell you, I met Frederica probably at the beginning of my journey for Always Best Care. We were working resource tables at the Kersley home in Philadelphia, and we just struck up a conversation, and I'm really enamored about this woman. She's a class act, and she really does go out and she talks to different communities, and we kind of, in a way that makes people kind of feel comfortable to kind of reveal, what they're going through. It never ceases to amaze me, and you either probably, that when you're sitting in a support group, particularly for Alzheimer's, and whether you're dealing with, caregivers or practitioners or people that have in some way directly or indirectly are affected by Alzheimer's, they always think that they're alone.
Yeah.
And, it's not until somebody breaks the ice and they start talking about their experience that the masks come off, and it gets to a point where everybody's like, oh, wow. And what's really interesting is that a lot of people that have dealt with Alzheimer's in past tense come back to these support groups, and they often share their story and their experience volunteer. Volunteerism is really from the heart for Alzheimer's because, okay, let's face it, I run a business for home care and home health, where caregivers are often providing care to folks for one thing or another, whether it be activities of daily living. But when you're taking care of a person with Alzheimer's, can we all agree that's just a different level?
36-hour job.
It's
they say.
It's a 30. Listen, that is, especially if you have somebody that's wandering, if you have somebody that's coming up in the middle of the night. It's really hard a lot of times with Alzheimer's from a family perspective when one of your loved ones gets Alzheimer's, and you have to realize that they're not cognitively there.
Right.
And so when you go out, so first of all, how would somebody, even, talk to you or get involved with, actually setting up you to come out and talk to them?
Well, all they have to do is call our 800 number.
Which is at the bottom of our screen.
Definitely. And they call and they say, I'm from such and such a church or such and such an organization, and I'd like to have a speaker. And then from there it moves. Our helpline, as you know, is 24/7, and you'll always get a live person, so all they have to do is call. And ask for that.
Same for corporations, companies that are interested in something like that, and also other charities that want to get information. So basically, we're available for anybody who would like to learn about, know the 10 signs. We have a whole wonderful list of things. Getting your legal and financial affairs in order, that kind of thing. So.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it doesn't stop at the civic or community. It starts and also stops at somebody's employee. Because if I'm thinking, what better way to get your employer involved is to tell them, hey, listen, you can also, get together and we can build a team. Braggart moment right now.
We're applauding you right now, Brian.
The Walk to End Alzheimer's is one of the things that my teams look forward to. This year, we're doing 3 different walks. We're walking in Rehoboth, Delaware, and we're walking in Wilmington, Delaware. And the biggest walk that we walk in is in Philadelphia, which is going on. You can put it up. Go ahead. Might as well. We're going to talk about it throughout the show.
Okay.
This year, it's November the 10th at the Citizens Bank Park in South Philadelphia.
Free parking.
Free
Forget that.
parking.
Don't scare anyone otherwise.
Last year, I had the pleasure of being one of the people that cut the ribbon It was.
For good reason, because
listen.
Bryant's team has been the #1 corporate team for the past 7 years. I think you raised $65,000 last year, in addition to doing sponsorship for all 3 walks.
Right.
So the support that you give us for our mission, to find a cure and to provide services for anybody touched by Alzheimer's is just amazing. And also the fact that you promote the walk and you make it fun. It is the one unique event because you have 11,000 people there, and it's happy. So much
It's
about
music.
Alzheimer's.
It's like this day that is filled with this ambiance of support. Everybody's trying to support one another. It's a lot going on. The energy is just so powerful. You have people that speak. You have a band.
Oh, many bands. I think we have 3 bands coming up. Yeah.
And for me, so let me dial it back. So the reason why we get involved, I had an uncle that had Alzheimer's. One of my very first babysitters had dementia. I bake, in fact, I bake 7-Up cakes, and every time I bake a 7-Up cake, I think of Ada Jordan. And she was just, she was a really, really sweet woman. And, she was my mother's girlfriend's mother, to the Jordan family. Shout out to the Jordan family. But, she would only bake me a cake. She would make her little Bryant a cake. And so now, I get into the kitchen another show, but every time I bake a 7-Up cake, I think of her. Family-wise, I remember, my family having to really support my Uncle Dill, Robert Green. And what does that mean? A lot of times agencies like myself, like Always Best Care, are called in to fill in the gap. Even if you have a small family or a big family, everybody still has to work. And so with Alzheimer's, you hit something on the head. It's a 24/7 job, because with Alzheimer's does not necessarily mean that you have a physical ailment. You still may be able to get around with Alzheimer's, but you're not cognitively there.
And you're making decisions that are not going to be to your best interest.
And you could be a danger if somebody if you could be a danger to yourself if somebody is not watching you or supporting you.
Just a matter of time. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Alzheimer's Association. If you want to know more about it, because we could talk about that for probably 2 more days. But
we got time.
Willingly, we only have an hour for the show. But if you want to go and find out about the Alzheimer's organization, you can go to alz.org, and the information is at the bottom of the screen. And we're going to give you more information about the walk that's coming up, or the various walks also. But right now, as we talk about the Alzheimer's organization, what do you guys do? What is the Alzheimer's organization? For those folks that are watching that really don't know. Elaine, you start. Go ahead.
Well, okay. What we need is obviously awareness. We have maybe 30 staff members in our 3-state area. Okay. So we look to volunteers. Part of my job, a lot of my job, is recruiting volunteers. Like, for example, we train volunteers to be support group facilitators, which is a core value for us. We want caregivers to get the help to be with their peers so they can talk freely once a month. So that's just a wonderful role. It's also a commitment. We want those volunteers to do it for a year, once a month for a year, okay? We need volunteers to do all the health fairs, information fairs, senior expo fairs. We try to do some of them too, but we want to have Alzheimer's materials at every place that asks us for them, because it's reaching, whether it's a place of worship, it's a library, it's a corporation, that kind of thing. Now, I could not do the Philly Walk to end Alzheimer's without at least 750 volunteers. I mean, it's just impossible. And by the way, we're not just talking day of. That's day of. We have committees that work on the walks, 7 walks, all year round. And they help us do everything. Our committee members and volunteers help us do the Party in Purple that's coming up not till next year, April 4th. But every single thing we do. I mean, we just had the dementia seminar by the shore. We had volunteers down there helping us. So volunteers are absolutely critical. And by the way, what I often do, for me, because I also want corporate, I see where the volunteer works, right? Or where they used to work. And then at that point, I go and approach the company saying, well, maybe you want to do a team for the walk, or maybe you want to get involved with this, and you just move it on up. Because I think sometimes, it's the other way, a company wants to sponsor the Philly Walk, and we'd love to have anyone sponsor the Philly Walk, so let me know. But then I say to them, well, hey, maybe your maybe your employees want to do a team or want to volunteer. Like, we have many companies that do it all. Do you know what I'm saying? And
And have fun doing it.
exactly. And I would say though, many people that volunteer have a personal connection. I would say half our staff have a personal connection. Why I have worked a lot of places, and I've done a lot of political volunteering. Alzheimer's volunteers show up all the time. I mean, there is not a 20% loss rate. They're there. You know what I mean? And
That's the truth.
yeah, and it's just the reason I like the walk is because I have 750 volunteers showing up, and I thank them all day long. You know what I mean? Because we need them.
Freddie, what do you say? What do you think of the Alzheimer's Association? So we know the outreach. We know that getting people involved from a volunteer perspective. What do you strive for in your role?
Well, my role is to, be sure that we are inclusive.
Okay.
We have to be inclusive, and because everybody and anybody, could get Alzheimer's.
Right.
So we really want people to understand that. We want people to realize too that we do a lot of research. We fund a lot of research.
Right.
This office doesn't do the research, but we have funders, we have other people that are doing the research. We want to make sure that everyone is included in that research because we know that, there could be a difference. And so we encourage people to get involved in the research. And again, it's just about calling and saying that, I'm interested. But we want the community to know that we are here. We have the support groups. We have about 150 support groups in our 18 counties that we serve. So we want people to understand that. We want people to know that we also do what we call consumer education, which is like workshops, seminars, that people can attend, and they're free. All of this is free. So we have a care consultant, and that's for families that need that one-on-one kind of talk, for somebody to talk to them and help them figure out what's their plan. How are they going to work this out?
And the trainings for first responders are so
Right.
important because lots of times, a fire department going to a call will not think that the person there isn't drunk on drugs or mentally ill, and that's
That's very important because their approach would be different. One of the things I like about the Alzheimer's Association, and specifically the Delaware Valley chapter, is I'm going to hold up your publication. How often does this come out?
This one comes out about twice a year.
Twice a year.
And, we have others. We have an online that comes out more frequently.
Yeah, we
yes.
have a lot of information.
Yes.
But the printed one is good because a lot of people, might not be checking their email as much.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? So.
In the fall and winter, and you have on this on the top, and at the bottom of the screen you'll see Alzheimer's has a 24/7 helpline. Which is very important. It's interesting, too, when I think about a 24/7 helpline, because oftentimes my organization gets calls in the middle of the night. Why? Because people are at their wits' end in the middle of the night, and they just have to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Right. And they're not necessarily always ready to employ a home care agency, but sometimes you need to vent. That's sometimes, who do you vent to at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, you can vent to the Alzheimer's Association because they have a support line that is, phenomenal. Again, I can't say enough things nice about the organization from the top. I'm very, I'm very, very close to you guys. You guys are easy to work with. Shout out to Cheryl. Shout out to Keely, Christina, and all the people that have helped us along the way to maintain not only our sponsorship but also our walk in Alzheimer's. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk more about the upcoming events. We want to talk more about the walk. We want to talk about more engagement, how you can get involved. And if you are out there, and I'm going to put it out there now, if you have a team, we're going to talk about some tips on how to engage a team. So stay tuned.
Did you know?
Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility.
Leadership. Purpose.
Great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity. Inclusion. Compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate team Green. You can apply online or call 302-409-3710.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. I want to also remind my viewers that I'm also on the radio on WRDradio.com. You can check me out on the radio 96.1 FM or 900 AM. Saturdays at 4 p.m., the Did You Know Show is centered around connecting people to home, community, and business resources that you ordinarily wouldn't know about. So as we continue our conversation with the Alzheimer's Association, Elaine, could you tell us the 10 signs that people should look? The 10 warning signs.
How we look at these signs is that if we notice changes in our loved ones, this is what we want to be looking for, and we want to write them down over a course, maybe over 3-4 months, something like that, to see the changes that we see. And then basically there are memory loss that disrupts daily life, okay? And this could be something. Well, we'll just go through it all, and I'll give some examples, okay? Changes in planning or solving problems. Like, if you used to be, accountant, and now you can't even balance your checkbook, or you can't figure out a tip, something's wrong, okay? That's very abnormal, okay? Difficulty completing familiar tasks. The only thing I bake is chocolate chip cookies. Once I can't bake that, something's seriously wrong. And remember that, Freddie, okay? Okay, confusion with time and place. And this is not about, it's Wednesday, I thought it was Friday. It's not that. It's like, I think it's December and it's June. It's very, very different. It could be different decades too, right? All right, trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. Now that is a real problem with driving, okay? If because dementia, Alzheimer's can certainly affect your vision, you know what I mean? And you see a black line and you think it's a hole, you know what I mean? So those are the kind of things you want to see if your loved one is moving very carefully about stuff, or taking too long driving anywhere, okay? New problems with words in speaking or writing, all right? Where you can't find the right word. And writing it might be a very obvious way, but just when talking, these are the things that you notice. Someone might repeat the same thing, or they're talking about a poster and they're calling it something else totally. So these are the things that are just slowly, you might be noticing when you visit your loved one. All right, my favorite, misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. We're all losing our keys, okay? It's like once a week for me. But if I concentrate, I remember where I went, okay?
Losing your cell phone.
Cell phone. Well, then at least you can do something and find it. Somebody else's cell phone. But with this, it's basically, if I put my car keys in the freezer, that's an example of you don't even know what the key's for. So it's losing things, but forgetting their whole purpose, right? So that's very, I think that's a striking example, okay? Decreased or poor judgment. Many families find out that something's wrong with grandma when they look at her bills, or they find it's like she's giving money to telemarketers, things like that. Where you're just making unwise or decisions you would never have made normally.
Right.
All right? Okay, withdrawal from work or social activities. Now, this is almost natural because if you can't keep a conversation going, people are noticing it. You don't want to draw any attention to yourself, right? You're confused. You don't know what's happening, and it's easier to be alone, right? And I think it's tough for people that are social, right? Then you notice what's wrong, Okay, and last, changes in mood and personality. It's not surprising that people would be, if you're going through this for a period of 6 months, you're fearful because what is happening? Now, by the way, brain cells are dying in you, so you don't have necessarily the capacity to understand what's going.
I get it.
You know what I mean? Many people, they don't know what's happening. Of course I'm fine. You know what I mean? And they can fake it for 20 minutes, but after that, it's clear. So for people that visit their loved one like every 2 or 3 months, you can chronicle the changes, while the person that lives with them might think, oh, they're just fine, they're having a bad day. But I would point out, if someone's grieving, if they've lost a loved one, you don't want to judge them because everything is so different. Their world is very, very different. And we're talking about, we all think we have Alzheimer's, but these things are very specific, and these are going on. You always go down with Alzheimer's. Nobody plateaus, nobody gets better. So it's not like I can have a bad 2 weeks and then I rebound and I'm better, right? But this is the kind of thing where people are not improving, all right?
So, one of the things, too, in addition to when you're recognizing some of these warning signs, what I always tell caregivers, whether they are somebody that works for my agency or they're a family caregiver or both, to really, really know the symptoms of your caregiver stress threshold. Freddie, can you walk us down to some of those checkpoints?
Sure, because I facilitate a support group at my church, and so I see these signs, and they're there, they're doing the best that they can, they're talking to each other, but then somebody will say, I just can't, I couldn't get out of bed. They've lost their energy, they just can't, they're not thinking clear themselves. I'm at wit's end, my mother won't do this, she can't do that. She said, and they'll say, well, sometimes I forget that it's the disease, and then I get upset, and I can't handle it. And so I have to walk away. So we talk about, okay, what can you do for yourself? And it's very hard for a caregiver to find time for his or herself. It's not that the time isn't there, but they just feel like, I've got to take care of this person, and that's it. So they won't take a walk. They miss their doctor's appointments. Okay? Oh, wow. They won't go to the gym. They won't go get their hair done. They won't do these things because they feel like they're being selfish, and they have to spend all of their time for this person. And so then their health diminishes, and then they become sick. And unfortunately, about 40% of our caregivers die before the person they're taking care of.
I didn't
know that. That's a high statistic.
It is.
It is.
You have to remember, caregiving can be very stressful if you and trying to develop and maintain a work-life balance.
Right.
Especially if you're taking care of somebody with Alzheimer's and you have young kids, or even middle school or teenage kids. If they have activities on the weekend, you have to balance all that out. There's football, ballet, soccer practice, and then you have to make sure somebody's watching mom or somebody's watching dad. Or sometimes you might make the mistake of trying to take them with you. And that you wind up watching them more than you're actually watching the game.
Right.
But what we say too is we urge caregivers to get help.
Yes.
To ask, if they don't have family nearby, there's tons of good, wonderful home care companies that can help out. But seriously, you cannot do it alone. And for some reason, many of them want to do it. They just feel like they have to do it, and we're trying to really get them to let go of that.
And I don't think it has to be your social economic status, your race, or your background. Most people treat Alzheimer's as a secret. It's a secret. If my loved one has something that's debilitating, I don't want to show outwardly vulnerability.
Right.
I think that's the natural reflection. The natural what you do. Everybody holds a secret. Oh, don't tell anybody. Why not? Because you got a fish you can't receive. You have an open palm you can receive, and you wear yourself down. One of the things in your list too should be remembering to take your medication if you're on medication. Right. Renewing your meds before they go. A lot of pharmacies now kind of ping you and text you and tell you, it's time to renew your meds. But you're right. When you get guilty, and in the support group, I've seen so many people really break down at really, wow, I have to really, really stop and take care of myself, because you feel guilty when you do. It's like something that you're afraid of failing the caregiver litmus test.
But also too, I think that it's so easy to get impatient because your loved one's asking you the question 30 times in a row every hour. So it's completely natural, and we want them to understand that it would be like a saint who could actually handle that, which is why more people that can help, you can come back refreshed. And there's also other things that your loved one could do. Maybe go to adult daycare. Just get some stimulation. Right. Just being at the home sometimes is limiting.
So we've talked about the 10 particular signs. We've talked about the caregiver stress check. Freddie, take us through some of the different types of dementia.
Sure. There are, when I started out, there was a doctor in in the group where I was speaking, and I said that I understood there were about 76. He says, "Oh no, there's probably 100." But we don't deal. We don't deal with them.
Whoa!
Right.
I'm getting overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Alzheimer's Association, we look at the top maybe 6.
Okay.
And with what creates dementia, Alzheimer's is creating this dementia, and it's the most common. is Alzheimer's. And then we look at vascular dementia, which is like the number 2. And vascular dementia usually comes from a series of strokes, or a very, or a massive stroke. It has to do with our vascular system. There's also a dementia with Lewy body. And that one is different because that one it's an abnormal deposit of protein in the person's cells. But it's also one that has, the person will experience a lot more hallucinations than somebody who has Alzheimer's. And they also have problems with sleep. They also may develop this at a younger age. So we've got that going. We've got frontal temporal dementia, which we shorten and say FTD. And that's because it's forms in the frontal temporal lobes of the brain. And that one, again, is very difficult. It's another one where the person's personality becomes very negative, very pronounced. So they're very difficult to deal with. Very withdrawn.
Sometimes it's hard to diagnose, too.
It is.
I heard that 60 Minutes just had a story on it. And it was someone saw it and said it was very devastating.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So those are the main ones that we're looking at. But there's one called Korsakoff's dementia, which comes from abuse of alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because alcohol, and this takes me back to another life, but alcohol is very destructive to our body. I'm not saying people shouldn't drink. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But we need to understand how destructive it is. And when it's abused, not only are you then labeled an alcoholic, but you are putting yourself at risk for a dementia.
Wow. So if you just tuned in, my name is Brian Green. I'm the host of the Did You Know Show, and I'm sitting here talking with two exceptional women, Elaine Griffin, and then we have Frederica Wall from the Alzheimer's Association. At the bottom of the screen, you can get any information that you possibly would want to know at the alz.org. And keep in mind that there's a 24/7 support line. And you really can call in and tap into all kinds of resources, whether you're looking for a home care agency like mine, or you're looking for adult day, or you're looking for a doctor, or you're looking for a support group, or your company looking to engage and get involved and form a team. And form a team. And as promised, I'll share a couple of snippets before we take a next break. One of the things we do in my office is, in the summertime, if you want to dress casually, you have to pay, you pay $5.
Casual for a cost.
Casual for a cause.
We love those.
We do that.
I am casual for a cause today. You're not? Okay.
Every year we have our annual Christmas in July party at the Philadelphia Zoo, and we do a raffle. And we do a raffle to support and benefit the Alzheimer's Association.
Really good prizes.
And we have, and the people are lining up. We do small electronics. We do tickets. We do all kinds of different things. Sporting events. We do everything we can to support the Alzheimer's Association. We have shirts for our walk. In fact, we're designing our shirts now for our group that we're forming. And I'm going to sneak in a little tidbit. Obviously, this show is sponsored by Always Best Care Senior Services, but today I want to turn on my viewing audience to let them know at the bottom of your screen, you can, if you're in the Philadelphia area and you want to join our team to either walk or donate, we certainly do appreciate it. We do have, big shoes to fill from last year. So we've been talking to Elaine and Frederica. Freddie, you're going to stay, and Elaine,
I'm out of here.
And we're going to invite Linda Barber in our next set, who is the manager of print and digital publications, and we're going to go over the upcoming shows.
Fantastic.
So, thank you for coming on.
Walk. We need you. But thank you so much.
No problem. No problem. We're going to come back. Don't leave just yet.
Okay. Bracing out. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be back in a second.
Did you know?
Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility.
Leadership. Purpose.
Great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity.
Inclusion. Compasión.
We love our jobs.
If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate team green. You can apply online or call 302-409-3710.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. Today's show is sponsored by Always Best Care Senior Services. Joining the show and talking all about what she does is the fabulous Linda Barber, who is the manager of print and digital publications. Linda, tell us about what you do and how did you come to the Alzheimer's Association?
Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be on the show.
Excited to have you.
I've been around a long time, mostly as a volunteer.
Oh.
My dad had the disease. He was diagnosed at age 66. He had younger onset Alzheimer's. And my family and I got really involved right away. The first exposure we had was with the walk.
Okay.
And then I joined a support group. And it was the savings grace for us because it gave us access to everything that the Alzheimer's Association offers. It allowed me to interact with other adult children who are helping to support their parent. And now, like 16 years later, I'm the support group facilitator.
Oh, wow.
So it's come full circle for me, and it's very rewarding because I get to interact with people that are going through this every day, and it really brings it full circle for me, and I always feel for them, and it helps me, it guides my work. What I do is I'm on the marketing communications team. So my job is to increase concern about the disease and awareness for the Alzheimer's Association and what we do for people. The worst day is when you have someone say to you, oh, I lost my parent and I didn't know you guys existed.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a killer, and it happens more than you would think. It's not as, glamorous of a thing that people want to talk about. People years ago wouldn't say the word cancer out loud. We're getting to the point where people are starting to say the word Alzheimer's out loud, and the stigma is easing, but it's my job and my colleagues' job to make sure that people know who we are, where we are, and what we offer.
So I was going to talk more about marketing, but let's put that on the shelf for a minute. When you talk about, you were involved with the caregiver support, what were some of the surprises? I mean, I don't know if you came with any expectations, but what did you really get out of it? And I want you to really tell us, what did you really get out of it, and what do you continually get out of it?
When I was a member or the facilitator?
Both.
Okay, as a member, went in there not really knowing much about the disease. My grandfather had it later stage, but now people know so much more about it. I learned from people that were doing the same thing I was. We learned from each other.
Okay.
People come in and at different levels. Their parents are, different stages of the disease. But it's amazing how they come together and help one another. I don't run that group. I sit there and I facilitate. I mostly watch the clock and make sure everybody gets enough time to speak. I will jump in with information and answer questions when I can, but they run that group. They are helping each other, and we of course are here to provide support. I give out the 800 number about 10 times during the meeting, because if we don't have the answer, we recommend that you call the helpline and get another perspective.
Okay.
As the facility, so I kind of gave you both perspectives there. The people are amazing. They help each other. I wish we had more time together, but we do help each other through a very difficult, challenging experience.
So now when you talk about marketing, you have a lot of marketing things around. We have the shirt. I'm going to show the viewing audience and my production people, so not to hide my face, but just to make them mad, I'm going to hide. You have the shirt, you have the T-shirt, and on the back of the shirt, if you're a company, you can obviously, I don't know if you can zoom in on that. You can see that there's several companies that do sponsorships with that. You have the can that you want to put in your office for people that are, willing to donate, or they can't walk but are willing to donate. And as you can see, it can be change or whatever. Every cent counts. One of my favorite marketing things is the cape. I've been dying to talk about it.
I know you want to put that on. I know you do. You can wear that home.
The cape. The cape is, something for the people that are out there, Alzheimer's warriors or superheroes, that are out there evangelizing the Alzheimer's Association. ALZ.org is one of those organizations that, again, I'm glad you said that. You really don't have any expectations, but one of the things I have seen as I have participated with a couple of support groups is that people feel like a weight has been lifted over. Because, when, people can't fix something right away, you have to kind of ongoing deal with it. And there's nothing like, dealing with something that you can't fix, and we have camaraderie and people that give you ideas of how they're dealing with certain challenges or how they're making a way. When sometimes you feel like there's no way. So, you have these capes for those people that are out there doing their best to get out there. But let's talk about the walk. At the walk, one of my favorite things at the walk is you have the different flowers and the flowers that we hold up. So we go one by one. The orange flower is for, this is not going to be a test, Betty.
Yes, it is. It's for someone who does not have a direct connection to the disease necessarily, but is concerned and wants to help.
Okay. And then we have the blue flower.
The blue flower is the person who holds that is someone who has the disease.
Okay. Somebody has the disease.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of blue flowers in the audience when we have the walks.
And then we have the yellow flower.
The yellow flower represents a person who is caregiving actively.
Okay. And then the purple flower.
The purple flower represents somebody who has lost somebody to the disease.
And when we walk, and this year in Philadelphia is going to be on November the 10th. That's a Sunday down at the Citizens Park, Bank Park down in South Philadelphia. When we walk, the people do hold these different flowers. And there's at one point that they do a prayer, and we hold our flowers up, and they blow in the wind. And it is a sea of flowers. And then the last flower that we don't have, or we want to have more of, is the white flower.
Right.
Tell us about it, Linda.
The white flower represents the first survivor. The first survivor. Alzheimer's is a fatal disease. A lot of people don't realize that. And so there are no survivors at this point. We are working very hard to find Alzheimer's first survivor.
Okay, so in addition to the walk, what are some of the upcoming events that are going on, around that you're involved with from a marketing perspective?
There's something going on here all the time. Is there ever a downtime?
It's never a dull moment,
never
right?
A dull moment. Right now, we're right in the beginning of walk season. We have 7 walks in our region.
And I think we're going to put something up on our screen for you to be able to see. We'll work on that, so you can see between New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, southeastern Pennsylvania.
Southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and all of Delaware. We have 2 walks in Delaware. We have 2 in South Jersey, and the rest are in Pennsylvania.
And that's in our Delaware Valley region.
Right.
The walks go on across the country.
640 walks across the country.
And I'm selfishly going to do a plug for my team, which is at the bottom of your screen. You want to walk with Team Green. Team Green, we've been fortunate enough to have the largest fundraising corporate team from a dollar perspective. Last year we raised $65,000, and this year our goal is going to be $75,000. I don't know if we're going to get there.
You will.
But one of the things from a marketing perspective that I'm really excited to say is, because you guys have so many different marketing tchotchkes, it's really easy to bring people along. And I've made so many different friends, and that's the one thing about the support group too. You really don't know who's going through anything until you go into these groups. And it has no social economic limits, no racial limits, no background limits, the LGBTQ community, it's something that affects every single person. At the beginning of the show, Elaine said that, every 65 seconds? Every 65 seconds somebody develops Alzheimer's. And, it's one of these diseases that, again, you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have their cognitive ability. And that's a different situation than when you're dealing with somebody that's sick and you need to do things. When you have somebody that really may still be able to walk and talk, and sometimes you have to talk to them after 10 minutes, you say, okay, something's going on. And there's nothing harder to talk to somebody in your family, a father or a relative, a mother, a grandmother, that at one point was the leader of the family, was the matriarch or the patriarch, the person that before you went and bought a car, before you bought a house, when you had kids, you made sure they were there. Mom, what do you think? Dad, what do you think? When you don't have that from that person, you have to kind of transform into more than just a caregiver. Would you agree that you're really kind of, in your mind, it's a role reversal that is beyond, and it's a 24/7 situation. If you look at the bottom of the screen, alz.org is one of these organizations that are out there. So what else is going on?
Well, I wanted to mention that there are 200,000 people in this country that have younger onset or early onset Alzheimer's that are under age 65.
Oh, wow.
You were saying, you don't always notice until you talk to somebody for more than 10 minutes, but we have people on our board and in our community that have Alzheimer's and are staunch supporters of our cause. That they've made it, they're no longer working in the workforce because they're unable to, but they make it their job to support this organization and to create concern and awareness. So that's really important to us as well.
Wow.
It's not something that's an old person's disease. It's
No.
not something that you're necessarily going to develop, but there are people that are younger and it catches some people off guard, but they're actively engaged. They stay active, and they say that the reason why they're doing so well is because of their engagement with us, because they're taking care of their health as much as they can. They're limiting alcohol. They're exercising regularly. They're socially engaged, and those are the things that we have found through research that healthy lifestyle intervention can stave off dementia.
Wow, we're here with Linda Barber and Frederica Wall, and we're talking about the Alzheimer's Association. So, do you guys, you do the dementia conference?
We have conferences, one in each state. We have smaller family caregiver conferences that we host. As Frederica mentioned, we have consumer education workshops that are usually an hour long. We have them online as well. So if you're unable to go because you're actively caregiving, you can go onto our website and find them there. So we offer all kinds of support in many, many places. And, you mentioned all of these items that we have, all the purple.
My cape.
The purple swag.
I'm taking this with me, by the way.
You are. I've had people say to me, we don't need those things. Why do you spend money on those items? Because when you do one of our events, you get an incentive prize depending on how much money you raise. I tell people, you're a walking, talking billboards. When you wear your shirt, when you wear that cape, when you carry this flower, I wear my name tag on the train. People talk to me. And they say, oh, you work at the Alzheimer's Association. My parent has that disease. I was in a Hallmark store 2 weeks ago, and I was getting checked out, and I had on my The Longest Day shirt. And the woman said, oh, the Alzheimer's Association. And my first response is always, do you have a personal connection to the disease? To open up the conversation. And she said, yes. And she started to get upset. She said, my husband, and he's 60. And I said, what's your name? She said, her name. And I said, I'll be back to see you, because I didn't want to keep her from her customers.
Right.
But I need to go back and visit her and bring her some information. I gave her the 800 number.
Right.
Because people feel isolated with this disease. They think they're all alone, when in fact they're really not. And coming to the walk is like a big celebration of life, and people feel good because they realize there's 10,000 people here, and there are people here with the disease. Some of them are caregivers. Some of them, they're all connected to it somehow. So
You can bring your dog. You can bring your friendly animals. People come out there. There's all kinds of cartoon characters out there. Before we started this set, you mentioned, and Frederica mentioned too, and I want you guys to get into it, meditation. What's going on with the I didn't know about that, and I want you to talk about it. Let's have it. Okay?
Really?
Yes, I knew about meditation as becoming probably more and more. Yoga and meditation is probably one of those things that people are really starting to tune into. The work-life balance and finding your peace and that kind of thing. But how does it relate to Alzheimer's? What organization? Go ahead.
Well, yoga and any form of exercise, yoga, tai chi, they're not as stressful on the body as some of the other exercises that people could do. It's also something you don't have to have any real equipment. You might want to have a yoga mat depending on what your floors are like and all. And meditation, you don't really need any equipment at all. You can just sit in a chair and meditate. You can do walking meditations, and it's something you can learn how to do, and it really relaxes you and takes you away from the stress for as long as you're going to be able to meditate. There are lots of different ideas and ways and thoughts about meditation. It is not some different kind of strange thing that you're going to get into. You're not going to fall off the face of the earth. You're not going to all those kinds of things that people think about. But it's very helpful just to clear your mind. It's all about the breathing, and I'm sure Linda would agree, because we've done yoga together. We've done it here in the office, actually.
Oh, wow.
Right. We now walk. Linda's our head of our walk committee here. So
your sneakers? You got your sneakers?
No, not today. They're at my desk.
Okay.
We walk because we know you have to get away, whether you're a caregiver or not. You need a break. You need a break every day. but especially for caregivers. And, exercise is really good for the person who has the disease. And yoga and meditation, they can do. They may, find the meditation after a while is a little difficult because they may not be able to sit that long.
One of the things I've heard about meditation, and that I'm kind of in my mind and vision, one of the things, I got invited to a meditation group not too long ago, and the very first thing on the flyer was, leave your cell phone, your laptop, and your iPad, your watch, everything that's going to be a distraction. You have to release all of that.
That's
and I'm thinking
why
to myself,
it's difficult.
Why? Okay, I got, I'll share a personal story. I just went on vacation about maybe 3 weeks ago. And it was very hard for me the first 3 days to relax because I was in tune to work in terms of what's going on. Say, did I send the last email? This meeting, I'm missing this meeting. Something's going on the farm and that kind of thing. But meditation, when you think about it, just the thought of, oh God, I got to leave my cell phone. What did I do? And I lived at a time that you didn't have a cell phone.
Right.
I'm old enough to remember when you didn't have a cell phone, and that kind of thing, or a beeper, quite frankly. And so when you do that, what do you get out of it? I mean, if I could just ask, tell my viewing audience, what do you get out of meditation?
Well, Freddie gave a very wonderful explanation of yoga and meditation. The only thing I would add to it would be the answer to your question, mindfulness. We're always going. I have 2 speeds, off and zip, and that's it. I don't know how to relax. So I can understand when you go on vacation, that's hard. It takes me 3 days to chill out too. But mindfulness is a practice of living in the moment and appreciating every moment for what it is. I'm right here with you guys right now. I'm not thinking about anything else, because if I did, I wouldn't be able to answer your questions or, go off of what you're saying. Right. I'm here with you, present in this moment. For caregivers, that's really important, to be present in the moment, because not every moment in caregiving is challenging. There's a lot of moments of joy and peace and happiness and hope. And if you're so caught up in everything that you're doing, you miss those. And that's the most important part about being a caregiver, is living in the moment, being with that person and appreciating them for everything that's going on with them right now, because they don't lose every ability right off the bat. It takes time. It's a gradual process. So you might be in crisis mode thinking, oh my God, I have so much I have to do and I can't do it all. You have to sit back sometimes and just chill out and appreciate what is happening right in front of you. Because they may say the most amazing thing to you, and if you're in the kitchen stressing over the medications, you're going to miss it. So as hard as that is, the yoga and meditation brings you into mindfulness. And that's really key, just for everybody, but especially for caregivers.
Wow, that's heavy. How often do you guys do it? How often do you meditate?
I don't do it as much as I should. Sometimes it's just, if you're driving in the car and you just center yourself, It doesn't mean you have to sit on the mat and do namaste. It can be just a prayer or a thought or a wish or an intention. You could set an intention for the day. I'm going to, have a good day because I'm going to make this happen and that happen. And if I don't, it's okay too. Like this morning, I woke up and I thought about this show. I didn't know I was going to be on it, but I'm thrilled to be on it. And here I am with you guys, and it's great. So.
And that's really, when you think about Alzheimer's, you do need to find, I know I've participated in caregiver support groups, and I've even said, things that sound catchy and trendy, like work-life balance. And you say it, but do you practice it? Where is your balance? And it's interesting, when you were talking, you said your 2 speeds, either completely off, and what does that mean even? Because for off, sleep, sleep, and then like you're moving a million miles a minute, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And then you try to squeeze in, because a lot of times people are reacting to something like Alzheimer's. Very rarely, and I think more people are trying to be proactive, but a lot of times you have to squeeze in caregiving. And I think that's where people get frustrated, because you weren't planning on a debilitating illness, and you certainly weren't planning on bringing in somebody that was the leader of your family, and now you have to spend or plan your life around, because particularly with Alzheimer's, you have to, with planning it can be done. Planning sometimes seems like a tall order, but when you have the support group and you have people that have done it before you share, I didn't know what to do either. I didn't know which way we were going to turn either. I had no idea. And now we have to really make decisions. We have to, assign roles,
Right.
And really have to do this because no way of getting around it. You can't sweep this under the rug. It's something that you have to deal with out front. The nice thing again about, and I keep saying it throughout the show, is with Alzheimer's, you have so many different creative ways to, one, engage folks and to also support Alzheimer's. We are, feverishly looking for a cure. And I really wish that, soon in my lifetime that we do have white flowers. But in the meantime, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see the number for the alz.org, and you'll also see the hotline. The hotline is open 24/7, and it's okay to call in the middle of the night. You wouldn't be the first person to do it. You'd be surprised how many people call our office in the middle of the night. I'm never surprised. And a lot of times people aren't calling because they want to set up help. We are so frustrated and just, that sleep hasn't happened yet. It's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the sleep hasn't happened. So as we wind down the show, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Elaine Griffin. I want to thank Frederica Wall. I want to thank, Linda Barber. If you are interested in joining or supporting the local walk in southeastern Pennsylvania or Delaware or New Jersey, you can certainly go to alz.org and search the walk in your area. We're going to be always Best Care Team Green. We're going to be participating in the Rehoboth and the Wilmington and the Philadelphia walk, which we're coming back with a vengeance, and we really want to be the top corporate team again. If you have a corporate team and you want to get involved, pick up the phone, email. They're always. You heard Elaine say in the beginning of the show. 750 volunteers.
Yes, just for one walk.
Just for one walk. It's more than a notion. My name is Brian Green. I want to thank the Alzheimer's Association, one of my favorite organizations. I mean that, bar none. You guys are easy to work with, and it is affecting a lot of people's lives. Again, I want to remind the listening and the viewing audience to tune into my show on Saturdays at 4 p.m. I'm on Word, WURD. You can check me out online at WURDradio.com or 96.1 FM or 900 AM, Black Talk Media. This is Brian Green signing out. Thanking you, Alzheimer's, walkers and workers and volunteers. If you're interested, I can't stress enough, please just pick up the phone and start the journey. Okay, see you next time. Take care.
Did you know he'll help you understand? Did you know always a right-hand man? Did you know he's gonna make it clear? Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs.
If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online or call 302-409-3710.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.